It's time for Supply Chain Now Radio, broadcasting live from the supply chain capital of the country, Atlanta, Georgia. Supply Chain Now Radio spotlights the best in all things supply chain. The people, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. And now, here are your hosts.
All right. Good afternoon. Scott Luton here with you live on Supply Chain Now. Welcome back to the show. We're not broadcasting from Atlanta, GA today. We're broadcasting from Scottsdale, Arizona, home to the DIMSCA annual conference, where it's all about supplier diversity, supplier development, and supplier success. If the DIMSCA conference is not on your radar, you got to check them out, dmsca.us. Before we get started, two quick programming notes. Number one, you can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast from, including YouTube. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And secondly, we got to give thanks to our sponsor for this episode and all of our coverage out here at the DIMSCA conference, Veresen. Veresen is powering AI-driven data harmonization around the world with a big focus on materials. You can learn more at veresen.com, Verusen. Okay, we've got a special episode here today. We've been talking with thought leaders from across the conference, across sectors, manufacturers, supply chain folks, you name it. And today, we're going to kind of change the game up a little bit. We're going to talk with two thought leaders that are still in college at one of the leading supply chain schools around the country, Morgan State University. And here with me, we've got Aaron Peterson to my far right, sophomore at Morgan State University, and Latia Thomas, senior at Morgan State, but also Latia is president of the Apex chapter at Morgan State. So we are sitting here with senior executives already. So Latia and Aaron, how y'all doing?
Good. Awesome. How are you?
Great experience. I'm doing fantastic. Really enjoying my time out here. My first time to Arizona, right? I wish we had more time to kind of smell the roses and get out and see. But if we can't do that, I'd rather spend my time with bright young minds like both folks we have here. And I'm really looking forward to picking your brains a bit. So for starters, I want to find out more about who you are. Okay. So this might feel like deja vu a little bit. I don't know. My French isn't that good, is it? Cool. So Latia, where are you from? And give us the skinny on your upbringing a little bit.
Okay. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. I am from the county, so I'm from a city called Middle River.
Okay.
It's no river nearby.
Middle River, still Maryland.
Maryland,
right?
still
Okay.
Maryland, about 20 minutes away from the city. I'm a first-generation college student. I'll be the first to graduate college. I'm the first to graduate high school. And I guess an embarrassing moment for me. Again, I cannot ride a bike. I can ride a bike with training wheels. But it's probably embarrassing as an adult to have training wheels.
So when you were getting trained.
My dad, he had me on the bike. He let go, and I lost control. I swerved a green box, and then I swerved a tree and fell. So, can you return it? Sorry, waste your money. Save it if you ever have grandkids. I don't know. But, yeah, so never again.
So no bike riding here. No bike riding here.
At all. Unless it has training wheels.
There you go.
Man. All right. How about ATVs?
Do I have to balance myself?
Really?
If I don't have to balance
if they give you some regular terrain, some flat terrain.
And that'll be cool. I was going to do it in Vegas, right? But I can go up. I'm scared about the coming down.
Okay.
Then I'll be stuck in a helicopter. Come get me or something.
So from Middle River and doesn't do bikes. And then now let's switch over to Aaron. Aaron, tell us about where you're from and give us a similar, skeleton in your closet, we'll call it.
Okay. All right. I'm from the Pinehurst area of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And a skeleton that's in my closet. Well, I don't even consider it a skeleton. It's just like whatever. But I don't know how to swim.
Okay.
I would like to learn how to swim.
Well, have you?
I'm not afraid to put my head underwater.
Okay.
I just haven't taken the time to. I said I was going to sign up at my gym. They'll teach me how to swim, but I haven't taken the time to do that.
Okay.
Yet.
Well, there's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
So much time, right?
Yep.
And who knows, when as you build out a family down the road a little bit, you might be riding bikes and you might be doing the breaststroke or something.
I'll have to, because I can't have my kids learn how to swim and they're coming to save me. I should be saving my kids.
And to his point, swimming is kind of like a survival skill. So at least I have that, right? You don't have to skate with the bike. I have my license. I can drive.
That's right. Okay, so now I want to talk more about Morgan State and what how y'all chose that path to go to school there. So we'll start with a senior that graduates in December 2020, right?
Yes, December 18th.
December 18th of 2020. So right around the corner. So why did you choose Morgan State?
One, my mom wasn't having it, me leaving Maryland in general. So I had a few options, Maryland, Towson. I think even Maryland would have been too far. And then, Morgan is in Baltimore. It's an HBCU, so a historically black college or university. So I had a different learning experience than that in high school. I went to high school you had to get accepted into, and I studied business there. And to be a product of Baltimore, to be a product of Morgan, who's normally looked at as the underdog, and I know my work ethic and what I can bring to the table, it would just make me more proud as a woman coming out of Baltimore, coming out of Morgan, and people don't typically expect that type of talent. They normally think of A&T, maybe some schools further down south.
A&T is...
Because engineering is really, really, really known at our school.
Yes.
And our business school has taken off in other majors as well, but supply chain had just started.
Okay.
So,
so what A&T, who you're talking?
North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
It's who else? Morehouse.
Yeah.
Howard.
Mm-hmm.
People don't really consider Morgan State. I really don't even think we get the same type of companies that come to our career fairs that would come to Howard.
Yeah. I think when it comes to supply chain, maybe. Not yet.
Right. Right.
Not
and
yet.
you're out the change yet.
Yes.
I love that. Very passionate about that, Mattia.
Right.
All right, so Aaron, same question for you. How did Morgan State? How did that hit your radar?
All right.
Especially growing up in Pinehurst, North Carolina.
No, Alabama.
Alabama. Sorry.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the Pinehurst community.
Yes.
All
right. Sorry.
All right, because the Alabama folks will be listening.
Yeah. Let's get that right. So not Pinehurst, North Carolina, which is the number 2 course there, but it's the Pinehurst community in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry, man. They're coming after me too.
That's all right. That's all right. They're coming. So I chose Morgan State. I'll shorten my earlier story. I was originally going to go to Strayer, and I didn't think I wanted to go to college. I didn't know. I was like, I got to find another way. I want to be an entrepreneur or do something else, or Anyway, I was doing receiving for Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts, and I was like, how can I do this on a bigger scale? So I just started looking around at colleges. Like I said, I was going to choose Strayer, and somebody pulled me up and said, man, what are you doing? This is a for-profit college, or whatever. I'm not saying anything bad about Strayer.
Right.
I'm just saying I was kind of guided to go to a university. So I have a cousin that had just recently graduated a year before, and one of my managers where I worked had graduated as well, or was his alumni. So I knew, okay, this is receiving. This is what I'm doing. What is this a part of? And it's like, this is supply chain. And then my directors were saying, well, you're not going to get too far in supply chain and hospitality because, we use a lot of third parties for our supply chain. You're in the receiving department. You're doing requisitions and purchase orders. So, it's still part of supply chain, but it's not on the scale that you want. So I looked up some universities near me, and I saw Towson, and I saw Morgan State. And Morgan State is just like, you got to go there, not just because it's a HBCU, but it is great that it is because they take you knowing your history much more serious, and you'll still get your education as well, but it's just mandatory for you to know your history. They take it very seriously. And I felt as though it was a good thing because I don't know too much or wasn't into, I wouldn't say, Black history. I knew what we were taught, like the Martin Luther Kings and stuff like that, or people like that, the great people like that. But way more in-depth stories, like how Morgan State played a big part in the civil rights movement and things of that nature, and the Reed Street walk-ins, sit-ins that were nearby Morgan State. And I was like, wow, this is huge and this is great. And when I see all these companies coming to show Morgan State so much respect and, looking to diversify their companies, it was great. So I was
Made a lot of
like,
sense.
yeah. And it was like supply chain had just started there. And I was like, wow, I found a university that had supply chain, because I just started on YouTube just looking at, supply chain this, supply chain that. And the next thing you know, I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
Really?
Morgan State popped up, came in. Latia was one of the first supply chain majors I met.
Okay.
And I heard about Apex as well. And, it's a organization that kind of gives you more insight on supply chain, and it's like a communication what do you say
A professional
Networking.
development opportunity, right?
Yeah. So it's just really great, and I'm glad I'm there, and here we are.
All right.
Yes.
Fantastic. And you're a sophomore.
I am a sophomore. Yes.
Already 4 years worth of passion in 2 years' time. I love that.
Yes.
And I also love that you've already got some practical experience in a
Yes.
component of supply chain.
Supply
So,
chain.
Definitely.
all right. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about, and Aaron, really, you've already, in many ways, answered this question.
Okay.
But we're going to give you a chance to answer it again. So,
Okay.
so stand by for a minute. Latia, why supply chain management? Or why supply chain?
So when you think of a company, most people say I'll go to college because, I'll always find a job in accounting or finance or even marketing because those help companies succeed. A lot of people don't think that supply chain, in plain context, is the heartbeat of a company, and it can make or break the success of it. It's kind of the people behind the scenes that determine if you're going to make a profit or if you're going to fail and be out of business. And I like that. I like being able to sit at the table and make decisions, and I have to be the front face of it to do that and to be able to make a difference. And there's not a lot of women in supply chain as well. So I think that'll promote the career and everything else.
Yeah, it is dominated by
Males.
Yes. So the good news is that's evolving, right?
Yeah.
However, the challenge that you are pointing out, especially, so Show Me 50 is a great nonprofit in Atlanta, right?
Okay.
So we have the founder, Elba Pereira Gallagher, on regularly. Elba is with one of the Fortune 100 logistics service providers.
Okay.
The good news is with the proliferation of supply chain programs, both at university level, college level, technical college, you name it, there's over 500 programs in the U.S. now.
Okay.
And if you look at male and females coming out of the university, it is really close to 50-50 choosing supply chain in terms of recent graduates, right?
Okay.
However, as you go through the management tier, you start to see the disparity, and you get into upper management, and you see disparity, and then y'all probably are familiar with this. Maybe, hopefully, they're teaching this in college. You get into the boardroom, and to y'all's point, is dominated with males.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the number is still less than 5% of female represented in the boardrooms of Fortune 500 companies. That's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I love about this conversation is Latia is president of the Apex student chapter, which I bet is what is indication of things to come.
Yes.
Love that. All right.
Thank you.
So same question, Aaron,
right.
for you. You've already kind of foreshadowed it a little bit, but what else would you add? Why are you so passionate about supply chain, especially as a career field?
I'm passionate about supply chain because it's just the employment rate is crazy. It's like how could you not have a job? Because there's so many things in supply chain that you can do, no matter what it is, from finance, accounting, logistics, operations, whatever. You just find out when I was first introduced to supply chain, there was a board in front of me, and it had about, I'd say, well over 200 positions, and the top of it said supply chain, and it was just everything that you can be doing.
Something for everybody.
In the supply chain. So my thing was, my dad drove tractor trailers after he finished his contract in the Marines.
Okay.
And I just loved trucks. And the things that he moved, you had to shut the highway down for hours to get it from 3 exits down from where he was. And
So was he an active duty Marine?
Was he active duty? Yes. He was in Vietnam. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he drove He was a
professional
truck driver.
Yeah, he retired or whatever. Well, you can't tell him he's not a Marine.
That's right. Always a
Marine.
That's
yep,
right.
Yep. So he drove tractor trailers for about 30 years.
Wow.
After.
I bet he's got some stories.
Yeah. He had a stroke, and they told him he'd never drive again. And then, like 5 years after that, he started driving tractor trailers again.
Proved him wrong.
Yeah,
That's
so it was
great.
great. And so that's how I got into supply chain. Just my dad, as far as transportation and logistics, I used to be in the trucks with him in the summers, and it's just the things we had. You know, it was just like, wow, this stuff is huge, and it just interested me. I was playing with little Tonka toys and stuff when I was growing up, you know. So that was pretty much it. I mean, salary is cool, but it's just like you got to make sure it's something that if it can't make you smile, you know, you got to get excited about it, you know, because you're about to spend most of your life doing it, and the things that you love doing the most, you'll do them when you're off the clock as well.
Well put.
Know? Yeah.
I
So-
agree.
Well put, Aaron. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about the student Apex chapter at Morgan State University.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, for starters, what does it do, Madam President?
So we serve as a gap between employers and the students. We bring them together for information sessions, resume critiquing, mock interviews to prepare students to get ready for the career fairs and any other on-campus interviews that we may have. It's companies that people in our major don't even hear about or know about because, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of supply chain professionals do not come to the career fairs at Morgan State. It gives them internship opportunities, full-time opportunities. If they're into entrepreneurship, giving them the outlets for that as well, just to hear from those that are entrepreneurs. So we want to be able to promote and uplift the students that we have class with every day. And our programs are open to all majors. So predominantly they come in to talk about supply chain professions, but if you're an information systems major, even though they're not coming for that, they have it at their company, so you can still network. And that's what it's all about, networking, because nobody's going to hand you a job after college.
That's right.
Yeah, when we're coordinating all the events, we make sure we put open to all majors because we're in the business school. And it's just like you guys are involved with the supply chain, whether you know it or not, in some form or matter. You know, so,
That's a good point.
yeah.
All right, so what about the Apex student chapter what out of everything you just listed in terms of what it does and how it serves and how it gets people connected, what's your favorite element of being involved?
Empowering the students that we see every day, the students in whole at Morgan State. We all have to grow together. It's enough resources and jobs out here for us all, and we all can win. If we can beat that gap and bridge that gap, should I say, to help students and not just be selfish and help ourselves with those a part of our club, that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and it gives you access to a lot of networking opportunities too. They have all types of things on their website, you know, like the CPIM, all the certifications and things of that nature, you know, just to prepare you for your career afterwards. And companies will even come to Morgan State before they have, or like we have the school fair, or the business fairs or job fairs, and they'll come before the job fair and do resume critiquing. And prepping to, when we come back here, make sure you're ready for this, or make sure you can answer this question. That's really nice. You know, that's a company saying, we want you. We know you may be nervous or you might not have this answer, but hey, let's do this now. We'll do an info session and critique resumes. And then when we come back, when all the jobs are here, you're going to see us again. You might see someone else from our company, but you should be able to answer this question very better, So.
And to what you're saying, it's two parts to it, right? You get to meet, sometimes it's the same person, so you get to meet this person on a one-on-one type of environment instead of being a 5-minute spill in a career fair. And then we bring out real talent acquisition specialists, recruiters. So what they're telling you is what all recruiters are looking for and for full-time opportunities. So it's really putting students in a position to gain a job after college, because we can only imagine how hard it can be.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be.
Well, I tell you, from the feedback we've gotten from the Morgan State, from all the folks we've interviewed and some of the sidebar conversations we've had, the group here has been very impressed with the delegation from Morgan State University. So y'all might, by all accounts, will have less of a harder time finding a job. I mean,
we got
clearly,
more than enough offers.
Yes,
That's great.
definitely.
Well, I guess you can never have more than enough.
More than enough.
We've got a lot.
A lot of contacts.
You've really garnered a lot of attention here based on your interaction and your involvement and
yes, very much so.
How you presented yourselves in terms of digesting the content, asking the questions, getting involved. Yeah. I mean, that y'all done really well. So I appreciate y'all's approach. So I want to ask you, before we talk DMSCA and why this is so important to be here, as you start to evaluate opportunities in the career, so let's say December, or really I'm sure you'll be interviewing between now and then. Latia, what is one thing that you really are looking for in your employer? In the opportunity or the employer or the culture, what's one thing that is on your list of priorities?
Okay. Definitely room to grow. I know a lot of companies say you have room to grow, but what's the typical time frame that you get from position A to position B? Who makes those decisions in their company, and what's the sex of those people that make those decisions, and how are opinions of those at a lower level regarded? Diversity and inclusion is a big aspect to me. All people should be accepted wherever you go. So that's a big deal breaker for me. Sure. And in the interviewing process, I love the ability to be able to come shadow the company or the position that I'm looking for, just to see the everyday operations, because you never really know if you'll adapt to a company's culture or even agree with the company's culture until you're there. Anybody can sell something. It's being there and seeing how it operates, and you can read off of vibes to see if this is the everyday way of things or if people are just off. But that's big to me. So the women, should I say, that's in charge, diversity, inclusion, and those that are not management, how heavy are those words taken after?
Very nice. I think we got a top 5 list there. All right, Aaron, same question. What
I'm looking for afterwards would be from an employer would be ability, as Latia said, to grow. And also how much a company invests into their employees. Some people some companies they can
be lip service.
Job. And it's just be like, hey, this is your job, but how I want to grow in my position, and I don't want to spend too much time here. I want to work from the lowest point, if that's a possibility, and work my way up and through so I can know my company through and through. If I'm going to be here, invest in me. A lot of companies will do like tuition reimbursement. When you finish your bachelor's, some people want you to get some experience before you go into your master's, and they'll pay for that. But, like certifications and things of that nature, help me be a better me for our company. It's not me working for you as much as you think. We're all working together. You know what I'm saying? You gave me the opportunity. Let me do what's best so we can all, be a team and be a great team at that. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference between, like, if I'm working in hospitality and I'm just coming in here helping chefs, like I'm a steward or something, helping chefs move food from here to here, right? But help me become Serve Safe certified, so I know that I'm handling things better. And, I know this is supply chain, but it's just, like CPIM and all other types of certifications. Right. I do this job. I'm a supply chain professional, but I am very well at doing this, and I'm certified in this area, and that increases your stock and your value. And, people know when they have a question to this, area, hey, man, he's certified in that. Why don't you go speak to him?
There you go.
I like it.
Him or her.
Right. Him. I like that even more. So some of what I heard you say there, Aaron, is wanting to be well-rounded, right?
Definitely.
Because the current definition, and probably for years to come, of supply chain has changed so much from how folks interpreted that in the 80s, right? Yep. When it was really more about and more defined, more or less, generally speaking, transportation logistics, versus now we're thinking of it, what's been prevalent for 15 years, and I'm preaching to the choir here, I know, but end to end, and we're moving into kind of that circular, right? Because you got sustainability that's such a backdrop for all things supply chain these days. Right. Okay, so let's talk about DMSCA.
Okay.
All right. So this is my first time here. It's y'all's both first time, right?
First time.
Yep. So my understanding is the genesis for y'all's involvement here is you had Mr. David Burton come out and speak to your class.
Yes. So last semester, I had a procurement class, and Mr. Burton came out to talk about DMSCA, and throughout his presentation, he mentioned the conference. And we were all looking, and of course we took our phones, computers, and looked at, and then we saw the price. And then, like, it'd be nice if we could go.
So it is a good value for folks already in industry, but for students, we've all been there.
Yes, it was steep. And then you have to get plane tickets. And like, it'd be nice if we could go. And so our professor said the same thing, like, maybe we can get some students out there. And Mr. Burton said, we can make that happen. And a couple months ago or a month ago or so, we received email from our chairperson saying we were coming to Arizona for the DMSCA conference.
And I've checked some of those prices. If we weren't, they were pretty steep. But I know why they were steep. If you're here, the people that you were meeting, if you had anything you wanted to do,
outweigh the cost.
You had access to it. These are top people in whatever they're doing,
Agreed. And you have access, and you can sit down and talk and engage.
Yep.
And
that costs.
And the great thing about this conference, I haven't been to a conference. Aaron has, that we found out, but
how about that?
It's not intimidating, so to speak. Maybe if you're not a student that's outspoken, it can be intimidating, but it's a select few of individuals here, so you're not just someone on the wall. You can really go up and have conversation, and I think that's with anybody, the suppliers, the companies, they can have conversation and really talk one-on-one versus having to feel like you got to be quick. So I stop wasting their time and let them do what they have to do. It's nice and compact, and everybody's nice. Like, everybody's spilled so much knowledge, and to see real world principles and things happen that we're learning in school, it's kind of like, oh wow.
Yeah, and to hear them talking about how the future is going to be too, because the people with the most experience can definitely let you know what's coming, and being able to prepare yourself for what these leaders are saying are coming. Everybody doesn't know about how to prepare yourself. Like me, I'm just coming into supply chain. I got to do a lot of reading. I got to speak to a lot of people involved, because even though I have a track on what I want to do, things may change. I may be doing something else in supply chain, so either way, you got to be a team player. That's what we want. That's what anyone wants,
Okay, so, and again, to our audience, you can learn more about DMSCA, dmsca.us. It's Diverse Manufacturing Supply Chain Alliance. It's been a great conference here. And, they do programming year-round, and there's membership, you name it. Okay, so now I want to wrap up the conversation with, and both of y'all have spoken to some of these trends.
Yeah.
But, Latia, we'll start with you. When you, kind of survey the global end-to-end supply chain community, what's one topic or development or innovation, you name it, that you find really compelling?
I'm just getting into it and learning about it, but I think blockchain is a big concept and aspect that all companies should put their foot forward of it to be prepared, because it's not a means of when or if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen. I think we all can agree the value of the United States dollar is diminishing. It's getting lower and lower, and blockchain is going to be the basis of transactions. It's going to still be people that want to come out to do customer service transactions and get that customer service experience, but pretty soon it's going to be, can you perform this transaction via blockchain? Can you support blockchain or the financial technology aspect of it?
With the transparency and the traceability and all that blockchain offers.
Yeah, it's especially on the supplier level. Can you keep up with this, or what are you talking to me for?
Interesting. Okay, so Aaron, we got blockchain, which is required in any supply chain conversation in 2020, by the way.
Yes, definitely.
Aaron, what about you?
I would say management of the materials involved in production. For example, how, say you have a manufacturer, right? And we're moving all this product, and there's parts involved. Everybody knows, or there's someone involved that knows where this product is coming from, where it has to go, how it needs to be packaged, or, whatever. And everyone is starting to, mostly get into the IoT thing, or, I wouldn't say they're just starting, but it's just starting to advance with data metrics and all that. And being able to check on the parts involved with moving everything in production, because having an issue with, your production equipment could be drastic. As
Huge.
what I heard yesterday, 10 seconds of downtime in a production facility can cost a company $10,000 easily, just 10 seconds. And they were speaking on how there is information systems that can monitor these parts and can let you know when production or like the performance of that part is starting to change, and then they can go figure it out. And when, like, say for example, it has 11,000 hours on it, and the data will show that, hey, around 20,000 hours you're going to start having issues with this part. So at that point, we can put in a work order and have that part changed out before the fact, because they said in the past people couldn't, monitor the parts. So they would wait. They would do like every 6 months. Yeah. They would just change things anyway, just so it wouldn't happen. Right. And it could have been something that was perfectly fine.
There could be plenty of waste in that, and they bring lines down to do it. Yeah. This is more accurate and more proactive, right?
So are you considering like predictive analytics?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Well, gosh, I'm not sure what we didn't cover here. Really, I appreciate y'all, how engaged the whole delegation has been here. Yeah. It's great to hear the feedback you offered. For that matter, I think a lot of employers and hiring managers, I think, will benefit from a lot of feedback y'all have shared. Yeah. So as you fly back, well, I know you're sticking around for a little while, but Latia, as you fly back this afternoon to Middle River, right?
Yes. Middle River.
One last key, what's going to be one of your last key takeaways from the experience here?
I would say relation, knowing that what I'm learning in school is not wasteful. It's definitely relatable to real world things going on.
Okay.
From quality to data analytics, whether it's predictive or not, but being able to know that my teachers aren't just teaching me anything.
Right. It's what's taking place.
Yeah.
Aaron, same question.
Definitely. My takeaway is just the knowledge of knowing what's coming in supply chain, and I need to do more reading, and that, like she said, it's not a waste, and everything you're being taught in school, and then coming to speak to the professionals who've done it, and how it just goes, well with each other. And, once you start getting the experience, and then you're like, oh man, this is great. I heard about this. We talked about this. Right. And then you take, like how we were speaking on blockchain, and he also spoke of, what was it was ADCAR?
ADCAR.
Speaking on ADCAR and things of that nature. So, you go get books and you talk to them and you say, hey, what's a good read?
Right.
What's a good read? Give me some knowledge, or what do you think would be best in this area? You can get a whole bunch of feedback because these people, they've been doing it. And that's why it's just a wealth of knowledge. So I'd say I'm leaving with a lot of knowledge and a good path on, that I can keep following on.
So y'all will be back here in a few years, probably presenting keynotes, right? As the cycle continues.
That would be nice.
Yes.
Good. Okay, well, really appreciate both of your time. Aaron Peterson, sophomore at Morgan State University. Latia Thomas, not only a senior student graduate at Morgan State, but president of the APICS student chapter there. Really appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you for having us.
And looking forward to reconnecting.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, so to our audience, as we wrap up this latest episode here, where we're covering the DMSCA event here in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, stay tuned and make sure DMSCA again is on your radar, dmsca.us. Also, check out what we've got coming up. We've got in-person and digital events with partners around the world at supplychainnowradio.com. Check out our events or webinar tabs, EFT Reuters events, the Automotive Industry Action Group, Resilience 360, Modex, much more. You can learn more at supplychainnowradio.com. Big thanks again to our guests. Big thanks to DMSCA, our hosts, our sponsor, Veresen. Check them out at veresen.com, VERUSEN. On behalf of the entire team here, Scott Luton, wishing you a wonderful week ahead. And we'll see you next time on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.